believe that we are the thinker. But if we look at this closely, we realize that we're not the thinker. If you were the thinker, then you would know what your next thought is going to be. But the reality is you don't know what the next thought is going to be. If you just simply sit, you notice that you don't know that next thought that just arose. If you simply sit, your direct experience is that thoughts are simply arising. So if you really were the thinker, would you not be able to think your next thought? Would you not be able to control thinking? You would know what the next thought was going to be. But the reality is you don't know, and you can't control your thinking. What are most people suffering from? Thinking. They're suffering their thoughts. See, the body experiences pain. That's unavoidable. But suffering is mental. So we're suffering thoughts. So if you actually were the thinker, why would you be thinking thoughts that you are suffering from? Most people are struggling with negative thoughts. If you really were the thinker, why wouldn't you just think happy thoughts all the time? Could it be that you're not the thinker? Could it be that there is no thinker? That thoughts are simply arising on their own? That this is how it's always been? We believe that we're the thinker because the thinker itself is nothing more than a thought. When decisions are made, we feel that we are deciding, that we are the decision maker. As if you are selecting thoughts. But in your direct experience, you only experience one thought at a time. You never experience two thoughts arising like this. Which one do you want? And then you select that thought over the other. Maybe the sensation of hunger arises. It's just a sensation in which we label with a thought, I'm hungry. That's hunger. And then there could be another thought. Should I make dinner? And then the next thought, or should I order dinner? And then another thought, I'm going to make dinner. But see, in between those three thoughts, should I make dinner? Should I order dinner? I'm going to make dinner. See that there was no thinker that went into the back room and selected that thought about making dinner. It just simply happened. It just arose, just like all the other thoughts that are simply arising, one at a time. And this is your direct experience. And it's happening all the time. It's not in your direct experience that there's a decision maker that's deciding these thoughts in between the thoughts. You're not seeing some sort of thought selector go into the back room and grab the thought that you want and coming out with it. Decisions are made, but there's no decision maker. Thinking is happening, but there's no thinker. Would you like coffee or would you like tea? And then notice that your response is whatever thought arises. Coffee. What would you like in your coffee? 2 creams, 1 sugar. These are just arising. But there's no separate entity that's deciding or selecting thoughts or making choices in between these thoughts. What makes it very compelling, this illusionary thinker, is at the start, you could say, of a thought sequence, is there's this I thought. I am going to make dinner. And then there's the sequence. What should I have for dinner? Should I have pizza? Should I make pasta? Should I have chicken? Oh, I had chicken the other night. I don't want to make pizza. That's going to be too long. I'll just make pasta. Then there's some thinking. What kind of pasta? How am I going to make it? Some thinking about the process. And then there's this I thought again that seems to claim ownership of that whole sequence. So it starts the sequence. The I is projecting this event of making dinner. There's the process, the thinking process happening. And then it's like there's the I thought that then ends that sequence, that then claims ownership, collects it as a memory. And it's this activity which is really the ego, this identification, this activity of identifying with thoughts is really the ego. And you can see it's identifying with what's happening. It's identifying with the thoughts. This is what I'm going to do. This is what's about to happen in the future. And then, okay, now there's the other I thought that then claims ownership about what has happened, what has taken place in the past. So it's really this projection of the future and this reclaiming or claiming the past. And this is this activity where it's almost seen as almost like bookends to the sequence. And of course, it sneaks in there as filler thoughts. But like I said, is the thinker itself, that I is actually a thought. Because in our direct experience, we can't find this thinker. Well, where is it? If we don't look at it closely, if we're not exploring this experientially, then we just believe that, of course, I'm the thinker. But when we explore our experience, no, there's just thought. There's no more than one thought at a time. Thought. Now I'm looking for the thinker. Thought. Where is this thinker as the separate entity that is actually choosing these thoughts? How about this thinker, make it stop thinking? This seems to be this ongoing process of thinking. If I really was the thinker, why can't I stop thinking? And it continues, and we can't find the thinker. We don't know what the next thought's going to be. We can't think only positive thoughts or happy thoughts. We're constantly being bothered by these thoughts. Most people want to just stop thinking, and it's causing so much tension, suffering, until we actually explore, well, am I actually this thinker that I believe to be? And by exploring our direct experience, which is everyone's direct experience, we see clearly that we are not the thinker and that there is no thinker. And this gives a tremendous amount of freedom. There's no separate entity up there that's pushing buttons and pulling levers, making the thought machine to produce thoughts. What a relief. What a relief. That I'm not in control of those thoughts. They're just happening. It's just happening just like everything else. The grass is growing, the sun is shining, clouds are passing, the wind is blowing, and thoughts are happening. They're just arising and falling. The thoughts are just a movement, just like everything else. But what was exploring? What is observing those thoughts arise and fall? What was looking for the thinker? What is it that's observing that there's no thinker? You can find yourself as the thinker, this separate entity that's somewhere up in there in the mind that's pulling levers and pushing buttons, controlling the thought machine. But what is watching this? What is experiencing the thoughts? The thoughts are experiences. Experience 1, experience 2, experience 3, experience 4. And I always thought that I was the thinker. I always thought that I was the experiencer. But what is experiencing? Because I was looking for the thinker. And I couldn't find it. What is experiencing that? Isn't it you? It is. You are experiencing thoughts. Thoughts are not experiencing you. You are experiencing thoughts. Now, if you're not simply listening to what I'm saying and taking it to be a concept and you're actually exploring with me, look at your direct experience that there's just a thought, another thought, another thought. Even when the thoughts are overwhelming, thought, you're only ever experiencing one thought at a time. And you've never experienced a thinker. You've never experienced some separate entity that you believe to be the thinker of thoughts, the producer of thoughts, the director of thoughts, the selector of thoughts. That is not your direct experience. But what is your direct experience? That you are experiencing thoughts. Thoughts are experiences that you are experiencing. And now this experiencing, is it ever touched by the thought? No. The thoughts are changing. Every thought is different. It's changing. But you experiencing is changeless. In the midst of all that thinking, all those thoughts that are changing, well, what about the experiencing of those thoughts? Is the experiencing changing? No, the experiencing is changeless. Thoughts are ever changing, and experiencing is never changing. The experiences are ever changing, but experiencing is never changing. Thoughts are coming and going, but experiencing is always here now. Thoughts are appearing and disappearing, but experiencing is ever present. Now you are looking for yourself as the thinker. And there is no thinker. We can't find it. It's not your direct experience that there's a thinker. But it is your direct experience of experiencing. That's your direct experience. What is the experience of experiencing? It's you. It's you. You are beyond thoughts. You are prior to thoughts. You are witnessing the thoughts. You are experiencing the thoughts come and go, which means that you experiencing is already prior to the experience of a thought. And when that experience comes to an end, as all experiences come to an end, well, that experiencing, that is you, remains present. It's ever present. The thoughts come, the thoughts go. And you, experiencing, remain. It doesn't feel like you go with the thought. The thought's going. It doesn't feel like you take off with that thought. It doesn't feel like a part of you leaves. No. You are always present. What you refer to as I is experiencing. It is you that is experiencing life, is it not? It is. It's not something else. All there is to life is experiencing, is there not? Is there anything else to life other than experiencing? Have you experienced anything other than experiencing? That's your direct experience. That you have always been experiencing. Because you are experiencing itself. And experiencing is always free from experiences. See that these experiences, thoughts and feelings, sensing, perceiving, these are all experiences. Do they touch or harm? Do they blemish, taint, stain, wet, burn? Do they affect experiencing at all? See that you have had countless experiences in your life, but see how experiencing is always pristine. It's untouched. It's free from all of these experiences. All of these experiences, graduating, first girlfriend, first boyfriend, first job, first home, someone passed away, another person passed away, divorce, house burnt down, business went bankrupt. All of these experiences, good or bad, have they ever affected experiencing? See that in these experiences, in what you call life, the one element of experiencing these experiences is in fact experiencing. Experiencing is the one element that is consistent throughout all experiences. So even the thinker the thought that you believe to be. That is an experience. Now see how there is a start to that and there's an end to that. I'm not the thinker. There's an end. Now what is it that remains? What is experiencing that end? All experiences have a start and an end. But that which is experiencing, which is you, can you find a start? Can you find an end? Can you experience a start or an end to experiencing? Have you ever experienced the absence of experiencing? Experiencing has always been here now. Experiencing is ever present. Experiencing has no start, has no end. What you are is experiencing. Not experiencing this, not experiencing that, just simply experiencing itself. You are experiencing itself. And when you realize this, you can also realize that you experiencing have only been experiencing yourself. Hopefully this helps. I'll see you in the next one.